They built a road network across 3 continents before Rome even existed. Long before modern highways, an empire built one of the greatest transportation systems in human history. What's even stranger, they built it without wheels, horses, or iron tools. Before a single Roman cobblestone was laid, before Julius Caesar was born, before the Mediterranean world even dreamed of empire, there was a civilization in South America quietly doing something that should not have been possible. They had no iron tools, no wheels, no horses to carry loads, no written language to coordinate engineers across distances. By every measure we use to define advanced civilization, they were missing the essentials. And yet, they built a road network longer than the distance from New York to London. Twice, the Inca, the Tawantinsuyu, the 4 regions of the world. At its peak in the 1400s, this empire stretched from modern-day Colombia down through Ecuador, Peru, Bolivia, Chile, and Argentina. Over 2.5 million square kilometers of territory, 60 million people under a single governance system. But controlling that territory was the problem every empire faces and few ever solve. Mountains, not gentle hills. The Andes, the highest, most brutal, most unforgiving mountain range in the Western Hemisphere. Peaks over 6,000 meters, glaciers, valleys that drop thousands of feet in miles, rivers that tear through rock like they have a personal grudge. Most civilizations look at terrain like that and draw borders around it. The Inca looked at it and said, "We will cross it. We will build through it. We will make it ours." The result was the Qhapaq Ñan, the Royal Road. A network so comprehensive, so precisely engineered, so deeply integrated into every part of Inca society that even today, 500 years after the Spanish arrived and tried to erase everything, significant sections remain in use. 25,000 miles. That number needs to sit for a moment. The circumference of the Earth is roughly 24,900 miles. The Inca built a road system longer than going around our entire planet, through mountains, through jungle, across desert, over glaciers, without a single wheel. When Spanish conquistadors arrived in 1532 and encountered this infrastructure, they were stunned. Francisco Pizarro's chroniclers wrote that the roads were better than anything they had seen in Spain, better than anything in Europe. But here is what they didn't understand, and what most history books still get wrong. The road wasn't just infrastructure. It wasn't just a way to move armies or goods. The road was the empire. It was how the Inca thought, how they administered, how they survived. Remove the road, and the empire doesn't slow down. It collapses entirely. That's what we're here to understand. Let's talk about the engineering, because this is where the story gets genuinely hard to believe. The Qhapaq Ñan wasn't a single road. It was a system, 2 main trunk roads running the entire length of the empire north to south, with hundreds of lateral roads connecting them horizontally. One trunk road ran along the coast. The other, the more famous one, cut directly through the Andes. And the Andes do not care about your plans. The Inca engineers, and we should call them engineers, because that's exactly what they were, had to solve problems that would challenge modern construction teams. River crossings with no steel, mountain passes at altitudes where oxygen is scarce, coastal desert sections where there is no natural material to build with, dense jungle sections where the road had to be elevated on stone platforms above the waterlogged ground. Their solutions were extraordinary. For rivers, they built suspension bridges, Quechua bridges, woven from grass. From grass, specifically from a high-altitude Andean grass called ichu, braided into cables, sometimes over a foot thick, stretched across gorges that dropped hundreds of feet below. The longest span reached over 150 feet. These bridges were not fragile curiosities. They held armies, llama caravans, and heavy loads. Local communities were required to rebuild them every year as part of their civic obligation to the state, a practice called mit'a. Some of these bridges were maintained continuously for centuries. European engineers, when they first encountered these bridges, did not believe they were real. The technology looked impossible. For mountain sections, the Inca carved staircases directly into the rock face. In some areas, these steps climb so steeply that modern hikers stop and rest every few minutes. Inca runners, the Chhapaq, sprinted up them in relay, carrying messages at speeds that covered 150 miles per day. A message from Cusco to Quito, over 1,200 miles, arrived in under 10 days, on foot, through the Andes. In coastal desert regions where stone was scarce, the road was defined by wooden posts or low adobe walls, creating a clearly marked corridor through the sand. In sections that flooded seasonally, they built raised causeways. In jungle terrain, stone platforms elevated the road above the mud. Every 15 to 18 miles, the distance a runner could comfortably travel, there was a tambo, a way station, stocked with food, water, weapons, fresh runners, and supplies. A logistics network embedded directly into the road itself. The road didn't just cross the empire, it fed the empire as you traveled it. Here's the question most people skip. What was it all for? Because roads are good for trade and armies is the simple answer, and it's correct, but it misses something deeper about how the Inca civilization actually functioned. The Inca economy had no money, no currency of any kind, no merchants, no markets in the sense we understand them, no private ownership of land. The economic logic that drives most civilizations simply did not exist in Tawantinsuyu. Instead, the state operated on a system of reciprocal obligation. Citizens owed the state labor, the mita system. In return, the state fed them, clothed them, housed them, and took care of them in old age and illness. Every person in the empire worked for the state at certain times. In return, the state worked for every person. The road was the circulatory system of this economy. Food produced in the coastal lowlands moved through the network to high-altitude cities, where farming was limited. Textiles woven in one region were distributed across the empire. Soldiers could be mobilized from Cusco and reach a rebellion in Chile or Ecuador within days, not months. The Inca Emperor could know what was happening at the edge of his empire faster than most medieval European kings could receive news from the next valley over. The Chhapaq relay system was the most efficient human communication network in the pre-Columbian. killed the emperor, Qhapaq, and triggered a brutal civil war between his two sons, Huascar and Atahualpa. The empire that Pizarro found was already fracturing, and the road, that magnificent road, worked against the Inca in their final hour. The same infrastructure that allowed Inca armies to move at speed allowed Spanish forces to move faster than Inca commanders expected. The tambos that had fed Inca soldiers now fed Spanish cavalry. The bridges the Inca had maintained for generations now carried European weapons and disease into the heart of the empire. Within 50 years of Pizarro's arrival, the Inca civilization as a functioning political entity was gone. But the road survived. The Spanish used it. They couldn't destroy it. It was too embedded in the landscape, too essential for moving silver out of the mines and soldiers into the mountains. They renamed stretches of it. They built on top of parts of it. They tried to erase the Inca from the record and succeeded in many places. But the road kept existing. Today, the Qhapaq Ñan is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. 6 countries, Peru, Ecuador, Colombia, Bolivia, Chile, and Argentina, share responsibility for preserving it. Archaeologists continue to discover previously unmapped sections. In remote Andean communities, stretches of Inca road are still the primary path between villages, maintained and walked daily, as they have been for 500 years. In 2014, UNESCO formally recognized the Qhapaq Ñan as a site of outstanding universal value. The language they used is worth noting. They called it not just an engineering achievement, but a feat of human imagination. That phrase deserves to sit with us at the end. Because the Inca didn't build this road with iron or wheels or horses. They built it with organization, with vision, with a belief that human beings, coordinated and purposeful, could impose order on the most chaotic terrain on Earth. 25,000 miles, no wheels, no iron, no Rome. Just the will to connect everything, and the road to prove it. The roads survived for centuries. The empire didn't.